thank you so much for joining me. I would love to understand, how did you start with the WPIC and what on earth is it for those that don't know?
Okay. So back in 2000, I was one of the only wedding planners in all of Canada because it just wasn't really heard of. And so I was actually the only wedding planner on the internet. And so
Stop! I
I,
love that. You're literally
yeah,
like, I am the first Canadian internet person.
yeah, it was amazing. It was for over a year. I was the only one with a website. And because that was before Google, and so
Oh,
people had to use Yahoo. And if you Yahooed on there saying Wedding Planner Canada, I was the only one that came up. And so it was beautiful. And so obviously it was pretty successful. Right after I named my company The Wedding Planners, and
mm.
6 months later, J-Lo's movie The Wedding Planner came out. So
Like
it was
that
just
was
beautiful.
useful.
Everything was like woo, woo.
Sometimes
And
in life, the universe just lines it up for us.
right, oh, it's such a beautiful thing. And so obviously anybody who was searching about being a wedding planner, if they were using the internet, then they would come to me. And so it was always these questions. And I had actually trained through the US, through a school through the US, and got my certification, and there wasn't anything available in Canada. And so after about 3 years of this, my sister had joined me, and so she was working for me as well. We had four planners, and we just kept on seeing so often people just didn't know what they were doing, and we weren't comfortable with the certification course that we took because it just wasn't thorough enough for
Yeah.
us, and so we weren't comfortable suggesting it anymore. And so what we did is we petitioned the government of Canada to find out how we could run a course and how we could do that. And so we had to go through a year-long process, proving ourselves, showing our expertise, showing that we had done weddings of all different cultures, of all different religions, that we had done a significant amount of it, that we had all the training behind us and we had all the knowledge behind us. And after a year-long process, we got approved federally to open an institute. And then we had to go province by province after that and get approved province by province to run an
Moly.
institute. And
That's
so they still
that's
check us
quite a
every
lot of
four
work.
years. It really was. And they still check us every 4 years. And so it just always keeping us up to
And so
date.
you're training, so you started off as a planner, now you're training future planners. And so your focus, because you know me, I'm all sales and marketing, your focus is really on the how to with the planning elements of it, like the actual nitty-gritty day to day.
It's the planning, it's the etiquette, we do a little bit of marketing in there as well.
Okay.
It's what the government expects from you as a business owner. And so whatever country because we're in 37 countries now, we have over 10,000 alumni. And so whatever country we're in, we teach based on that country. We always bring in a local lawyer, we bring in a local accountant, and they teach them what they are required from their particular governments.
That's
We
incredible.
also
So hold on,
go,
you said you've taught 10,000 planners.
yes, yeah,
That's quite a
probably
number.
closer to 11 now.
Let's not shave off a few. Hold on, hold on. And so what year was this that you kicked off with?
2003.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. So do you still do any planning or you're only doing training now?
We are very selective about the planning that we do because we are traveling all the time.
Mm,
Um, so it's not quite fair to our clients, it's
yeah,
not fair to us.
yeah.
So we do take a few select if it really excites us. So if
Yeah, no,
something
I get
excites us,
it.
then of course we take it. And we also feel that we need to stay current as well.
Mm,
So we can't really teach it if we're not doing it. And so we make sure we do that as well. And so it is my sister and I that run it together. And then we have instructors based in different areas as well. We have one based in the Caribbean. We have two spread out across Canada. And so, yeah,
that's epic. Okay, so just looking back over your incredible career thus far, obviously there's still so much more to come. But has there been a moment in your career where you like were standing in the middle of it and going, "Oh my God, this is my actual job. This is epic."
yeah, I just had that moment a couple of days ago.
Did you? What was it? Tell us.
I was in New York to speak at an event, and I was just walking around New York afterwards. I'm just like, this is my life. Like this is amazing. And because I just love travel. And so the fact that we were able to combine the travel with it, because we go down to resorts and we go on site to train at the resorts to train their on site coordinators as well. And it's just speaking at different places and going to experience all the different cultures and everything. It's just like, what a dream, what an absolute dream. And then, of course, everything that we're experiencing is always the higher end because it's all about weddings. And so it's like, it's a beautiful life.
And so I know we have a shared passion for travel. We have that gypsy heart. Where are
Yes.
your favorite places?
I love Colombia.
Oh, me too.
I absolutely love Colombia. I'm going to be there next month. So, yeah.
Which part? Which part are you going to?
I'm going to be in Bogota and Pereira and Medellin.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
so
What do you
doing
love
a
about
coffee
Colombia?
tour. Sorry?
What do you love about Colombia?
Um, just everything. Just the vibe is amazing. The people are so warm and just that just ready to have a party. Like life is a party, and it's just wonderful. You just feel good there. I really can't explain what it is. I just really love it. Another place which you're gonna be like, is Ireland. I absolutely love Ireland. I touch down there and I jump off the plane, hop on a bus, and just go downtown. Like even if I just have a stopover, I just leave my thing. I just feel home in Ireland as well.
Wow. So, I'm half Irish.
Oh, me too.
Ah! We have so much affinity. Amazing. So, okay, so when you're traveling and you're living out of a suitcase and you're going here, there, and everywhere, how do you kind of keep sane? Like, how do you keep your life functioning? Because I know it's fun, I know it's amazing, we both love that. But how do you keep day-to-day life running?
That is always the struggle, right? Because there is the real life, and I do have two children, and so I've been traveling since both my kids were like 6 months old.
And how old
A
are they
lot of
now?
times, 23 and 18.
What? Stop.
So I
Oh
have
my
two
God.
adults now.
Okay, so they don't quite need you at home the way they did, but how did you manage when they were at school age and, there was pickups and clubs and stuff?
There still is with my daughter. She is an elite basketball player. And so that's a lot of work for us. So luckily, my ex-husband has always been absolutely amazing. And so he steps in when I'm away. He just steps in and gets it done. And we are coordinating our schedules is just insane. And thank goodness he gets a lot of time off work. And so he books days off when I'm
Do you have
traveling.
any tips and tricks for the rest of us? Because every time I interview wedding pros, and we have the same in our household, this whole balance and juggle of life and kids and schedules. Like, do you have any life hacks for us?
Um, being extremely organized, absolutely. You have to have a support system. Like you just couldn't do it on your own. You have to have a really good support system. One of the things when the kids were younger, I would prepare. And so like I would prepare 10 meals before I leave and leave a schedule of this is how you cook it and this is how you heat it up and do all of this. And so the days leading up to my travel are always absolutely crazy. And it's so stressful the days leading up to my travel just because getting everything in check. And because as women, we usually are the ones carrying the load of everything, running the house and running everybody's timetables and all of that. And so it just comes to a lot of the scheduling and putting that down. And I live by my phone calendar, like everything is plugged in there and it has to be like to the minute. But you really do need to have a strong support system. It's impossible otherwise.
Yeah, I couldn't
So
agree
I
more.
will give him props for that.
And listen, when it comes to the wedding industry, what do you feel um, is a lie that new planners might believe? So, they get into the industry and they've got this myth. Maybe it isn't a lie, it's more of a myth that they have in their minds that just isn't the way it is.
That it's all glamorous, that it's so luxurious and glamorous. And no, you are doing grunt work. As a wedding planner, you're doing the grunt work as well. It's not just showing up looking pretty at a party, and it's so much work, and people don't realize that. And so many people, because when you see, like from a marketing perspective, when you see a wedding planner, it's them arranging a table or setting up a thing. And
Just
we so
positioning
rarely are doing that.
one place card, right? That one
Yeah.
place card. There it is.
And we're rarely doing that because we're running everything else, and we're putting out fires, and like we're literally running. Like I always say, make sure that you have some kind of rubberized bottom on your shoe because you are literally running at some points,
Mm.
but we're like the ducks. And so we're calm and serene on the surface, and underneath we're just like, and I always say it's like those movies where you see a high school teacher running through a school and he slows down when he passes the door and then runs and runs. And I've literally done that at a venue where I'm like running and then looking so
Because if
serene
they
and
see
put
us
together.
panicking, they're going to panic, right?
Yeah,
That's the
that's
problem. They're
exactly
looking
it.
at. I told this to one of my team. I mean, I'm not an independent. I've always worked venue side, but I said this to one of my team once. If you're like the air stewardess, you're like the cabin crew. If there's turbulence, they're gonna look at us, and if we've got panic on our face, they're all gonna panic. Like
Yeah,
we have to,
absolutely.
no matter what's going on. Oh, everything's fabulous, and she like burst out crying one day, and I was like, you have to go and hide in the toilet. We can't have you crying in front of people.
We had so one of my planners was doing a wedding, and they actually had a fire. They had a fire and everybody had to evacuate, and they're out in the
Oh,
parking lot, and so they just had the live musicians start playing acoustically, and everybody's having fun and whatever. And somebody came up to my planner and said, "This is the most coordinated wedding I've ever been to."
you're welcome. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my goodness, like
I
that
have
is what we
I have
do."
Titanic vibes in my mind. You know when the ship's sinking and the musicians
Keep
are like,
playing.
play on, play on. Oh my God, bless her though. Well done for that management.
Right? I
So
thought that was
cool.
amazing.
Did the venue caught fire? The actual venue.
Yes. Yeah, they had a fire in the kitchen, and so they had to evacuate everybody out into the parking lot.
God, what are the chances? So, okay, so what's like the one memory of a wedding that you were working at that just really still makes you laugh out loud? Like was super enjoyable, super fun. What's that one moment?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so hard. I tend to forget things afterwards. I just like let it go out. I've had some crazy requests that I haven't done.
Yeah, then with us.
Um, but crazy moments. Oh, okay. Yes, I do have a really good one. So I was doing a celebrity wedding, and it was the bride that was a celebrity. And the groom's mother was just a piece of work, like such a piece of work. So there was one point where we were supposed to be taking the bride's family photos, and we could not find the photographer. And so we're running all over this mansion looking for the photographer, outside, inside. My sister was my assistant that day, and she found the photographer in the library with the mother of the groom posing, having her own personal photo shoot, and she's stretched out on the piano. Doing all this. To this day, when I go to that photographer's website, he has a photo of the groom's mother stretched across the Mercedes.
Wow, talk about
That
making
was
it
the
all about
wildest.
yourself. Wow. Okay, but you then just said that you've had some requests that were a bit crazy that you couldn't fulfill. What were those?
One, they wanted an entirely nude wedding,
Including the planners?
including all vendors. They
Ah!
wanted all wedding professionals to be nude as well. And I'm just like,
You were like,
no, I'm sorry.
that
No,
that that job's not for me.
no, I don't think we're a fit.
Yeah. You might want to explore other options. Oh my God. I mean, great for that. Good for them. But yeah, no, not our vibe.
Yeah. And then another one they wanted, because it was a Halloween themed wedding,
Okay.
which I loved doing Halloween themed weddings, but they wanted the officiant in a Jason's mask. And I just didn't think that was right. And so
So did you take the wedding and then just advise them differently, or you were like, no, not a good fit?
I said, no, again, that's not for me.
Daniel, how's your poker face? So when couples come with this stuff, my poker face has always been absolutely useless, right? Like I don't mean to, but I go, oh, that's terrible. You know, and I'd be very saying, how's yours? Are you quite diplomatic about these things?
Just the smile, just a permanent smile, and just like, oh, that sounds so fun. And but yeah, and just I don't think we're a fit.
That is so brilliant. So when you're running WPIC, I'm sure it looks super glamorous, right? You just said you're traveling, it's amazing. But which pieces of it actually stretch you and maybe you find a little bit challenging sometimes? Because none of our businesses are perfect all the time, right?
So many, so many. Um, it what people don't realize is there's so much administration behind it. It's so much like we have to toe the line with the government, and everybody just thinks, oh, they just started a course and it's just they're just doing it and they're just doing this to make money. And oh my goodness, all the things, the hoops that we have to jump through, all the things that we have to meet. And then it's just the struggle to keep up with the content because the industry is always evolving, and we always like our thing is we are always completely current. And so we're on the 17th edition of our textbook. And so just keeping up with that takes a lot because we write the textbook ourselves and all the materials, and just making sure that we are always current and we are staying up, because just in the last couple of years, the entire industry has changed again. I'm sure you know, as a from a marketing standpoint. And so with the new Gen Z, it's a completely different industry again. And so we have to stay on top of that. And so getting out the content and keeping everything up to date, it's always the struggle. And then because we also give a free association to our members afterwards, it's keeping up with that as well, because any complaints that a client have, they contact us. And so it's mediating that.
But
And
couple have a planner who's part of your association and then they're not happy with them, they come to you.
absolutely.
Wow, that's some serious accountability for you guys, right? Wow.
Exactly. Exactly. And so that takes a toll as well. And it's just
Mm.
because they feel like just because we're the overseeing body, they feel like we're responsible, and we have to explain to them like it's not our business, but we will help you with the mediation of this, but this is not our business. They are an independent business, but we do help with the mediation. And so
And
that's
what
stressful
kind
as
of
well.
complaints have you seen? Because I typically see that complaints are often just miscommunication. It's not because someone was horrendous or rubbish. It's like, I presumed this, you presumed that, and we never actually spoke about it or agreed it in a contract, or it's normally a miscommunication. What have you seen kind of go wrong that might be a pitfall we can avoid for others?
It is um a lot of that. It's the expectations that they have. Because we put out a contract for all of our planners that they're free to use as well. And so it's always checked out by a lawyer, and we tell them to bring it to their lawyer as
Mm.
well and just make sure any tweaks or things like that. But in the language, it says we can handle this, and it'll list certain things that we can handle. And so what we've seen for a few clients, they'll go through that with a fine-tooth comb, and it says, well, it said that you could handle this, but they never handled that, so I think I should get a discount. Well, you've never asked them to handle that, or that was when you were talking about the scope of work for this, that wasn't included in the scope of work for it. It's saying that we can handle this if you would like us to. You didn't ask them to. And
Yeah.
so we see that there's silly things where if another vendor, say something gets broken and they get charged for it, and so they'll blame the planner for that. Well, you should have taken care of that. You should have been striking the room for that. And so silly things like that as
Yeah.
well.
I do see that couples do genuinely have that post-wedding blues, and that can create some of that problem. Do you know what I mean? The day
Absolutely.
before, they wouldn't have cared about it. They'd have been like, no, it's all cool, don't worry. But the day after, or the week after that, that kind of come down, and then suddenly it's like they feel anxiety and they're looking for problems or complaints or like that line in the contract. Are you seeing some
Yeah.
of that?
Absolutely. And it's also the buyer's remorse, I think, that they overspent. And so they're looking at what are the line items, where can we get a little bit of a discount? And so, and it's not fair at all that they're doing that. And that's what, and so it just comes down to having very strong contracts
And protecting ourselves as businesses. And again, even though I work much more on the kind of sales and marketing front end, I do see it with our businesses. They're not protecting themselves properly so that
yes.
these things, because they just trust, oh, our couples won't, they're nice, they'll do, and like, yeah, but wait till the week after when they realize they're 10 grand over budget and now they want some cash back, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because everything's so wonderful, and it's like the Disney movie where la la la, everything's wonderful, and then it comes crashing down, like you said afterwards. And it's the blues, it's the buyer's remorse, and yeah,
And I wonder if this has to do with couples putting more and more pressure on them. We didn't see this 10 years ago, 15 years, 20 years ago. It seems to be a new thing that's growing in the last, I don't know, 10 years maybe.
social media. it's absolutely social media, and it's just having to live up to what these crazy expectations are. And they're looking at $1 million wedding and expecting to have that same thing. And oh, I need to be able to show this. My friends are going to see this, or my haters are going to see this, or my
Yeah.
followers are going to see this. And I have to show this certain thing. And so it's a lot of pressure. And the thing is, so many people don't realize that if you, let's say this is your bouquet,
Mm.
and so it looks a certain size in life, but in order for it to show up looking this size in pictures, it has to be 3 times the size. And they don't realize that. And so they have it in, when they are there, they're like, oh, this is so beautiful. It looks so lush. It's so full and it's so wonderful. And then they see it in the photos and like, oh, it looks so sparse and looks so empty. And like, there's so much pressure on people, and things can't look the same as a styled shoot. Things can't look at same as $1 million budget if you've only got $100,000 budget. That's
You're so right about the style shoot because I do a lot of that from the again the marketing side. And it takes us 1 hour to get one image of one room, right?
right.
And obviously on a wedding day, the photographers don't have that time. They're like, boom, take the shot off we got. It's not the same thing, is it?
No, absolutely. And the thing is, we put out, and we do it to ourselves because we put out this perfection.
Yeah.
And then, and like you said, it took us an hour to get that amazing shot. And that's just not going to happen on the wedding day.
So, okay, tell me, because no one's listening, right? So what's a wedding trend you are totally done with? You're like, I do not need to see this again.
I think it's going out on its own, thank goodness, but pampas grass, I never once liked pampas grass. From the day
So
one,
many
I
say
just hated it. And what's I'm seeing all the time, and I hate it, is the white on white. I cannot stand white on white.
that. Why don't you
And
like, so the purpose cross, I've heard that from so many people. The white on white, what do you mean by that? And why don't you love it?
doing an all white wedding, I do not like it. I like color, I like pops of color. I just do not like the white on white, or just keeping everything blush and light. And I love the pops of color. I like the vibrance. I want to see personality, and I don't see personality when you're doing everything white on white.
Yeah.
And it's such a common wedding theme, and no.
Do you think it's because people think it's safe and they won't go wrong? Do you know what I mean? It's like
And
a
they think,
safe
oh, it's
choice.
wedding, it has to be white.
It has to be
And
white.
the thing, like, you're a blonde, I'm a blonde. Blondes do not look good against white. Like, it washes us out. If you're natural, it
We're gonna
does
need a
not
hell of a
look
lot of
good.
spray tan, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it washes you out. And so I had one bride who she wanted a white and red wedding. So thank goodness for the pops of color, but she wanted white and red. And I said, you're Irish, you're a natural blonde. It it just does not look good on us. And so if we put you in an off-white dress against all this white background, you're going to look like you're wearing a dirty dress. And so she called me from the bridal salon afterwards, and she's like, oh my gosh, you were so right. We have to change everything. We have to change the entire order. I have to have off-white. And
And you're
so,
like, you should have just listened in the
yeah,
beginning. But of course, we don't say that, right?
I know this for a reason.
This is the thing. There's so many of those small details that you build up year after year after year, and couples don't realize the amount of stuff you're saying that is just saving them from a million problems later down the line. They don't even realize how many
Absolutely.
pitfalls you're covering, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And just like all the little handy little tricks and things that you have, and they
What
don't even
what's a
realize.
mistake you maybe made early on in your career that allowed you to level up? Because I know I made plenty on the job, right? As I was learning. What's something that maybe happened to you and you were like, that's it, I'm never making that mistake again?
Um, I'd say it's probably not being strong enough.
Ooh. Now that
Uh,
surprises me knowing you now.
Try it now.
Those boundaries are right there. But go on, share a little more about that. Because our people who maybe aren't good with their boundaries and their strength, tell us about that.
It's about trying to be the people pleaser and trying to be too nice about things, and so people taking the niceness as weakness. And so I used to have one particular set of vendors who thought that they were running the show, and so they would be just absolutely terrible. And it was just like having to set that boundary right from the beginning. That's great, you're handling the reception, I'm handling the entire wedding. And no, we're going to work from my schedule, because I'm handling the stuff with the kitchen, I'm handling stuff with the speeches, like, it's great you're handling the entertainment, but there's a lot more to the wedding. And so it's a matter of just being stronger. And I wasn't as strong as I should have been at the beginning. And
Yeah.
so I got into those things where I wouldn't accept that now.
And of course, when you put those things early on, people then never cross over, right? Whereas if you wait for them to cross and then you have to readdress, it becomes more of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and it's just you like struggling to try and get out from under that the entire, and meanwhile, it's like a dumpster fire because they're not following what one schedule is and the other people are following another schedule. And it's terrible. And it comes down to also being confident in yourself at the beginning. And I won't work with certain vendors. They don't respect my role. And so I'm not going to be working with certain vendors. And whereas at the beginning, you're always taking on every single wedding because you're trying to build up your experience. And yeah. And so,
And so talking about that, if what's something that a vendor or venue team might do that would actually kind of lose your respect for them?
um, I've had I've had a few where, um, like a venue that makes their own rules and will not divert from that in any way, and you know that it's against etiquette, you know that it's wrong. Um, and that's one thing that it just, okay, well, I'm not going to ever work with them again, and it just totally ruins it.
And what
Another
kind of
thing that,
rules might those be?
um, like I've had situations where I've had to have the venue completely redress a table because there were like holes in the linens, or like, yeah, like unbelievable. Or I've had to walk around with a napkin and get the spots out of the crystal and things like that. And like my clients will upgrade to the crystal and to the china, and it's got watermarks all over it. And when they're paying $70,000, like we can't have watermarks on, it's things like that. So that just really does not sit well with me. Seeing vendors who are taking kickbacks and totally focused on how much somebody's going to be paying them. And so it's actually against the law in Canada to take kickbacks for wedding planners.
Interesting. Mhm.
Yeah. And so it's called the closer than arm's length law because you have such a close relationship with the couple. So for corporate events, it's totally fine and is standard practice.
So
For
standard. Yeah.
weddings, you either have to get paid completely by the couple or you can get completely paid by vendors, but you cannot overlap the two. And so, and there, it's a big thing because people are trying to make more money, of course. And so, and they're taking kickbacks and they're not honoring the clients by taking them to the places that will give them the better kickbacks. And so that really makes me lose respect for the people.
Yeah, that makes sense 100%. If you hadn't have gotten into weddings, what would you have gone into?
I was actually on track to be a criminal lawyer.
Oh, I feel like that might serve you well in this realm. Okay, so what happened? Why were you going down that road? Why did you switch? What happened?
I got married.
Okay. So you were
So
still
I finished.
studying or you'd part, well, like where were you at?
Yes, I was. So you have to take your BA first, and then you go to law school afterwards. And so I had finished my BA, and I got married that summer. And so I said, okay, I'm going to work for a year and then go back to school. And during that time, I became a wedding planner.
And why? Why did you become a wedding planner?
I was working in finance, and it was draining me. It was just killing me because I am a creative person, and so it just I could not handle the day to day of that. And so I was just planning parties all the time and making these elaborate themes and things. And like we got married in an amusement park, and so that's it's just what I do. I do the big and I do the extravagant. And it was actually my husband that said to me, he's like, "Why don't you look at being a wedding planner?" And I was like, I okay. And so and that's when I got certified and started. And then my sister said, "Well, if you like doing it, I'll like doing it." And so she went and got certified, and she joined me, and my cousin joined me, and another florist joined me, and so we started. And like I said, we were the only ones on the internet, so it just took off. And
That's incredible. Are there days where you think I should have been a criminal lawyer?
um, Not so much because one of the things, because I chose family rather, because I was thinking like, do I want to have a family or do I want to really be successful in my career? And so doing 12-hour days and being away from home, whereas I'm still doing those 12-hour days, but I can be more flexible about it and I can choose the here and there, whereas I wouldn't have been able for the criminal law. And I was planning to do criminal defense. And so I was like, what if somebody came to me that I couldn't say no to, that wouldn't allow me to say no to them, and do I really want to do that while I'm having a family and things like that? And so it was a personal decision for me, and I haven't regretted it. I haven't really looked back. I still love the law and I still love looking at it, but I haven't regretted it.
And is there like a fantasy job that some days you're like, I should just do that?
I would love to just do style shoots for a living.
Oh, okay. So still
um,
within the kind of wedding vibes, but just on that one thing you love. What do you
yeah,
love
and
about them?
I just, I guess there's no client telling me, putting their input. And so it's me fully designing what I want to do and how I
Oh,
would do
so
it,
good.
and just being completely creative. Like it's just such a complete creative outlet. I love doing that. Um, Another thing that was always a dream was doing like a um, wedding planning talk show type thing. And so,
Ooh.
so that was something I always looked at. I would love to do like a wedding planning talk show, but with like a travel portion to it. And
Okay, so that could be a new project.
it could be absolutely. I was like under contract with a producer about it, and we were seriously looking at it, but that expired 5 years ago.
Okay, so it may be on the cards. Are you working on any new projects right now?
We are because we do regular conferences as well. And so we have a conference in the works right now. We have a destination trip in the works. So in October, we're going to be taking a group to Greece and doing because we have the destination wedding certification. And so we're going to do it specializing on Greece. And so we have an 8-day trip going there. And so they'll
Where's
come
that?
out.
Where in Greece? Do you have it
It's
locked in
going to
yet?
be Santorini,
Mm,
Crete, and Athens.
very
And
nice.
that's working with the tourism board there. And so they're going to be doing part of that, and then we'll be teaching and certifying the people in destinations.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah,
What's the best piece of business advice that you've implemented?
that's a that's a good question. A good piece of business advice. I think doing what you love, absolutely doing what you love and doing it with passion. Um, big, big proponent of constantly being educated. You constantly have to educate yourself. Like I attend 11 different conferences every single year, and I'm not just speaking at all of them. I
Mm,
might be speaking at 2 of them. I'm attending 9 other ones because I think you're doing a disservice to yourself. You're doing a disservice to your couples without constantly being learning, because it's always changing. Everything's always changing. And I think staying because a lot of people will just, oh, I'll go to conferences in the States, or I'm gonna go to the conferences. No, branch out. Like there's an entire world and people are doing different things, and find out how they're doing things in Turkey. Like I love going to Turkey. We've been there. I like go find out what people are doing there. Go find out what people are doing in Italy. Go, and so just sharing those best practices with each other, finding out different ways of doing things, finding out better ways of doing things, and it's just amazing. And so, if you limit yourself to one area and think that you know it all, I think you might as well just hang up
yeah,
your
I
stuff
love that because
because
I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning constantly. Like every time I get in the car, I want to listen to a podcast, I want to listen to an audiobook, it's like that constant, how can I fill my brain with more stuff? I'm sure
yeah,
that's some sort of issue I
absolutely.
need to work on. But it's like I love upskilling myself. And it's not always necessarily in the wedding corner. I love listening to people in other industries. What are other
Oh
industries doing
yeah,
that we can
because you
bring
can apply
into
it.
our world, right? So
Yeah,
on that, what
absolutely.
podcasts and books are you listening to right now?
Um, I really like Becca Puntney's.
Ah, very good. Yes.
She has a great one. Um, I read a lot of blogs, more more than podcasts and things. I read a lot of blogs and looking at what people are saying and people sharing. Because you share your knowledge that you attain as well, and that's what I try to do as well. Is I try to any knowledge that I have, and then I'm going to put it out into a blog as well, and I'm going to get it out to everybody. I think it's just so important, and it's just amazing. Different books, like you said, about on marketing, and so it's just finding different ways of doing things better. Doing little webinars. There's so many different little webinars, and so I do them on design, on floral, on marketing, finding out better ways to do Instagram and social media. You can apply absolutely everything to your business, because as entrepreneurs, like, we're handling every single little thing.
Yeah.
And
so just to close off, I'm going to throw a few quick fire questions at you. So just whatever comes to mind, you can just say if it's one word or if it's a story, that's entirely up to you. So what was the first wedding like that you planned?
I was 6 months pregnant, so it was like doing a marathon. uh, but actually had little things where, like, the florist didn't show up to tear down at the ceremony, and so I had to load all the flowers into my car and transport them over to the venue. And one of one of the guests showed up with their newborn and decided that she was going to sit her chair in the middle of the dance floor and breastfeed in the middle of the dance floor.
No.
It was like crazy. It was the craziest thing for my first wedding, and just like, wow.
You were like, are all weddings going to be like this?
Yeah, because she didn't want to miss it. She didn't want to miss the dance part. And I was just like, okay, one, you never told us you were bringing a baby to the wedding, to this all adult wedding. Two, you perked yourself right in the middle of the dance.
Oh my God.
And I wasn't allowed to say anything to her because it was my bride's boss's wife.
Of course.
So I wasn't allowed. So I just had to leave it and just let it go. I was just like, wow.
What's your favorite part of a wedding day?
I really love the ceremonies. I absolutely love the ceremonies.
Which nail it down to one moment.
I love the moment after they have been officially married, because it's just the joy and it's just kind of that relief.
Yes.
And now we can have fun and we can celebrate this, because up until that point, it's just so tense, and you see the shoulders go down, you see the excitement. And I always make my couples stop halfway down the aisle and do a dip or a kiss or a thing or something. And that is my favorite moment. That's my favorite picture from any wedding. And so I always make sure that the photographer knows that's going to happen. And we would actually rehearse that in rehearsals, that they're going to pause so that it just becomes second nature to them, so they don't forget. And that's that moment, because everybody is celebrating at that moment. Everybody's standing. They're all excited and happy. The couple finally can relax. And so they're in a dip or they're in a kiss or they're doing some fun thing that expresses their personalities. And that photo is the best photo from the day.
I love that. And now I'm thinking about my wedding. We did not practice it, but one of our favorite pictures is that exact moment. And I think my husband's going like, yeah. And we're halfway back down the aisle. But it was genuinely spontaneous. But as you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, that is one of our favorite pictures from our own wedding. Yeah. So you're so right.
That's my favorite moment.
What's the most underestimated skill for a wedding planner?
Problem solving. And people just don't realize just how much problem solving you're doing. It's little things like people are lost on the way. It's all these little things every step of the way. And it's like from day one when you're starting the planning, and people underestimate all the project management and the problem solving that goes into every little step. And then on the wedding day, oh my goodness, all the things that are happening. And that's why it's crazy when somebody says that they work without an assistant. Like, no, we need two heads. We need to bounce off ideas, and it's too much mental load for one person, and we need the extra hands. And so the problem solving is just outrageous, and people really don't expect that and don't understand it. And they'll never know just how many fires we've put out and how many problems we've solved along the way. But yeah, that's definitely.
I always think it's like security services of countries. Like, we don't know about the stuff that they caught, right? And we don't want to know.
Yeah.
We never
don't ask, don't tell.
We want to live in our oblivion that everything is peaceful and fabulous and there was no
Yeah,
threats on our life, right? And
yeah,
that's how our couples
exactly.
are. Like they don't want to know afterwards about all those fires you put out and sometimes the real ones. And I love that.
Yes.
So finally, what is your drink of choice at the end of a wedding? So the guests have gone home and you're putting your feet up. What's your drink of choice?
Usually it's just a tea.
Really? English
Yeah.
breakfast or we have a flavor?
Well, right now I have an English breakfast going, but we have this one. It's called Bold.
Mm.
It's Tetley Bold, and so that it's a stronger orange pico. I like that one as well. But yeah, and I'll tell you because you're saying like put your feet up after a wedding. It was funny on our forum boards with our planners. We were talking about the wedding day hangover because it's like running a marathon. One time I was counting my steps and it was 3 o'clock. The wedding wasn't going to happen until 4. I checked my steps and I was already up to 21,000 because I had been running so much. And so we were sharing on the boards about how do you handle the wedding day hangover? And one of the planners comes on and she goes, "Oh, I always do yoga. I've never had a hangover." And we're like, "Okay, you've worked this entire wedding, you've been basically running a marathon, and you come home and you exercise." And so I was like, okay, I have to try this. I just have to try
Oh,
it. And so I did it for that wedding where I was already up to 21,000 at 3 p.m.
and how did
And
it work for
I,
you?
so I didn't get back to my hotel until 3 a.m. that morning. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. The last thing I wanted to do was exercise. But I did it. And I said, I'm just going to do it. And I'm just going to see if she's right. She says that she always feels great the next day. Cause like next day I'm usually like, ugh. And
Yeah.
so
And the
I'm
lower
exercising.
back, I find the lower back when I've been on my feet all day is like, oh,
Yeah. And so I'm exercising in my hotel room, whatever. The next day I went up and did a 2 kilometer hike.
oh, it worked.
It worked.
You
So I
felt
was,
good.
yeah, I was in the Niagara area. And so I did a two
Wow.
kilometer hike along the Niagara escarpment the next morning. And I was just like, okay, this is crazy.
Okay,
But
let's go for
it was
yoga.
true. It was true.
I love that.
So there's my after wedding tip right there.
Now, Danielle, you do brilliant content on social. I always enjoy your content. It's often a little bit cheeky. It's quite fun. We get to follow your travels. So if people want to see that, where should they find you?
Danielle WPIC.
Okay, and that's on Instagram?
Yes, yeah.
Amazing. And we'll put all the website links and the Instagram links in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing this
Thank
conversation. It's
you.
been such fun.
It has. Thank you.